baseball and
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Fan Stream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show, post Buccaneers Friday. We got a huge story brewing with Wander Franco, lots of NFL news to get to, and the great Sal Palantonio will be joining us at 10:30 today. He was in Bucs camp this past week, had a sit down with Baker Mayfield, which I tweeted that out last night. Hopefully you got a little sneak preview of that. So Sal Pal will join us at 10:30. And we'll talk all things Buccaneers and the NFL. And I'll say good morning to you, Nick Geddes, there in our St. Petersburg RHS TV studios. How are you, sir?
You know, I wish I could say I was doing great. I was so excited to celebrate Creamsicle Day today. As you can see, I'm wearing the throwback Bucks right there.
Very
you see
nice.
Bucko Bruce on the side. I tried to wear the Rondé Barber Creamsicle jersey today, but I left it at my mom's house.
What?
I left it at my mom's house, and I was very upset. But regardless, I wanted to celebrate that. I wanted to come on here and talk about what I thought, all things considered, was a good Rays weekend with two sensational walk-offs. Wanted to talk about Baker Mayfield, which we still will celebrate that. But then I get hit with the avalanche known as Wander Franco yesterday and the allegations. And it's hard to almost be positive about the Rays after this whole situation, which I know we're going to get into here to start the show.
Yeah, we're going to get into a lot of Bucs talk here in a few minutes. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the Wander Franco thing, but obviously it is the top of mind story, and it has a lot of tentacles to it, right? It has a lot of tentacles to it. This is a player that you've given $182 million to. He is the cornerstone of your franchise. And, this season, last season was beset by injuries, and this season has been beset by self-inflicted wounds by Wander Franco. And a immaturity level that has come to the forefront that is really, really affecting this team. And this weekend is a perfect microcosm, as you said, Nick. I mean, those two walk-offs, Friday and Saturday, are momentum builders. I mean, that's something that you can catapult you into, a great finish to this season, right? You finish August and September on a high note. Those are two wins that just get your juices going. Like, we can do this. We got the offense. There's some magic still left in this team. And then you wake up on Sunday morning, and if that didn't look like a distracted team yesterday, then you're not paying attention whatsoever. And, so if you don't know what the story that's going on, and listen, the speculation here is, and I want to be very, very clear, that in no way are we talking about, this is definitely happened. Now, the allegations are that Wander Franco had an inappropriate relationship with a minor. Now, this is all there's also clear allegations here that there's some serious extortion going on. So when you see, serious extortion going on, like $200,000 in Mercedes that the victim is demanding, right there, red flag, right? Red flag. Okay, then we're not believing any of this stuff until everything is gone through. But clearly there has been some type of relationship there. You can make your own judgments on Instagram. Look at the girl's Instagram. She looks, and there's pictures of her with a baby, her driving a car, drinking alcohol, but we don't know if that's the particular girl that we're talking about. So there's a lot of wild speculation going on. So to me, innocent until proven guilty, right? But that said, there's got to be a lot of smoke here. There is a lot of smoke, and there's probably some fire. Who knows? Because you don't take a guy off the field on the day that they're having Wander Franco snapback hat day. Okay, he was in the clubhouse, was in the dugout until the fifth inning. They take Basabe out of the game the night before, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to get him to Tampa Bay to start the game, or at least be ready to play, because Taylor Walls is on the injured list. So, I mean, and then from an organizational standpoint, you send Kevin Cash out there and he has to tell everybody it's a regular day off. Come on. It's a regular day off on the promo day. You take the shortstop out of come on.
who's in the middle of a hot streak right now.
Yeah, come on, man. And that's not on Kevin Cash. I'm sorry.
No.
That is not on Kevin Cash. That's an organizational decision. Like, this is what this organization does. They try to hide everything that they think is bad. We got to sweep everything under the rug. Nobody will find out. Come on. And to send Kevin Cash out there to do that, that's reprehensible, but not surprising for the way this organization operates. But the sad part about the on-field stuff is, man, that could have been a springboard. And now, and Wander's, there's an IG post from him in the clubhouse with the music blaring, looking at all the comments. It's all in Spanish, so I don't particularly, I'm not here to say I know what was going on, but the English translation has him refuting all the comments and the allegations while he's in the dressing room. And like, wait a minute, what? Like, what's going on? Like, is there somebody in the organization that's going to grab his phone and say, hey, man, whoa, we can't be doing this. What are we doing?
It's hard for me to make sense of everything. I think, as everybody, I saw he was trending yesterday, and I went through the whole rabbit hole and trying to find my way through the memes and everything, and people, making fun of it, which I think is just, at this point, it's not a joke. These are serious allegations. If they're true, they're just downright sickening, if we're going to be completely honest here. So I had to swift through all those, but everything's in Spanish, like you said, and it's hard to get a read on it. And then people are trying to make translations. And even in the translations to English, I still find myself being really, really confused by the whole situation. So
I was counting on you to do that, because I started.
I'm the same way.
I'm going to leave this to Nick.
I'm the same way. I just read every translation. And I'm like, I don't even know how to even recap that translation. So, I mean, I know there's going to be more to this story. I'll tell you this: the fact that the Rays put out a statement, that's when it got real to me. Was when the Rays put out a statement about it, and that they were working with MLB and doing due diligence. That told me that, okay, this is real. Like, there's something here. They're gonna investigate this. And he was pulled in the 5th inning, I believe, yesterday. Was not in the clubhouse after. They packed his bags for him, which is interesting. And then Jeff Passan reported late last night that Wander Franco did not get on the team plane to go to San Francisco. And I kind of figured that was going to happen. Regardless of what's happened here, Wander Franco cannot play for this team at the moment during this investigation and everything they have to do. And I don't know how long that's going to take. It's not going to be something that's going to end this week, I would imagine, right? Unless they just completely find that there's nothing here, which I seriously probably doubt that they're going to figure this out in a week. So this might end up being a long-term thing, that he's not out there for this team. And that's when you shift to the on-field side of it. You already are a team that's ravaged by injuries in your pitching staff, which is really thin. And we saw that creep up this weekend against Cleveland, where they really had to grind out 2 victories. And then the bottom fell out yesterday. Now you take out the face of your franchise, the guy who's been hitting at an elite level for the past 3 weeks here, the best hitter in baseball over the last 3 weeks. It's hard to find a good path for the Rays right now to, number one, catch the Orioles. Yeah. And number two, in the grand scheme of things, I've been the most optimistic person there is on this team and calling them a World Series contender. But if Wander Franco's not there, you can just completely write the team off.
Yeah.
End of story. And even if he's there, it's a distraction. That's the thing. This is a distraction to the entire organization that they shouldn't have to deal with, but they're going to have to, from the face of your franchise. A guy, like you said, you gave $182 million to, a guy who in 2017, when he was 16 years old, you gave a $4 million contract to, right out of the Dominican Republic. They've gone above and beyond for Wander Franco. And it just seems like this entire year, it has been nothing but smoke and off-the-field concerns, attitude concerns, whatever it is. All of it has happened this year for Wander Franco, and quite frankly, it's sad. It really is sad for a player like this to have to continue to shoot himself in the foot. And again, I say that knowing that they're just allegations at the moment. But it still has not been a great year for Wander Franco off the field, even without these allegations, and this is just another layer to it.
I have no idea what it's like to be 16 years old and be handed a $4 million check. I have no idea what it's like to be 21 years old and be guaranteed $182 million for the rest of your life. I know this. I'd probably go out and buy some shiny things.
Right.
But, having those shiny things, in your car, and to be stolen $200,000 worth, which happened a couple of years ago in training camp. spring training. The expensive cars, expensive jewelry, all that, the flash, the everything. Look, I get it. You're young, you're having fun. It just, when things like this pop up, you're going, okay, like who is directing which role model, which mentor is with this young man saying, hey man, save your money. Don't put it out there. There's going to be a lot coming at you. Look, there are in the Dominican Republic, everybody knows who Wander Franco is. Everybody knows. Everybody knows he has money. He is a target. He is a target. And these guys, even the most seasoned guys like Big Papi, look what happened to him. You have to be super smart with your money. You got to be super smart with who's coming at you, because they're coming at you to try to extort that money from you. These are desperate people. And people in the United States as well. So you have to have mentors and role models and people that are around you in your circle to kind of walk you through this and tell you where the landmines are. And it just seems to me that this young man either doesn't have that or he just completely ignores it.
Yeah, again, it's hard to not go down those kind of rabbit holes when stuff like this comes out. It really is. That's why, and it's such a delicate thing to talk about, because it is innocent until you're proven guilty, and we don't have all the facts and everything. So that's why we have to preface that before we make any kind of judgment on this. But I will say too, I mean, if this does end up being truth, or any element of this becomes to be truth and everything, I can't think of anything else that's going to this would set back the organization a pretty good bit, in my opinion, and to a point that's going to take them some time to recover from. Because just looking at it on the field, Wander Franco is a special player. There's nobody that's going to debate that. And you saw that on full display on Friday night. And that's what's sad, because I wanted to come here and talk about the greatness of Wander Franco on Friday night, which, I mean, he's making amazing plays all over the field. He had the Jeter jump throw. You said it. Jeter never did it like that, and that's so true. The walk-off bomb, like all that excitement that we had for Wander Franco has just been taken away. It almost seems like for now, and it feels almost like I don't even want to talk about it in a positive light. That's just the way I feel right now. It's hard to talk about the on the field when you have this going on in the middle of it. So, like I said, I'm just sad about the whole situation. I think we're all hoping that there's going to be a good outcome from this. But at the moment, we have to just wait and see.
All right, this really good stuff here from RJ Martin. It says, I'm Spanish. I read, write, and speak Spanish, and there's something fishy about it. I'm not defending him at all, because if it is true, it is really sick, but definitely innocent until proven guilty. Thank you for doing that, RJ. And if you can give us any more insights into some of these posts, we would really, really appreciate it, because I'm kind of lost. But that's why the first thing I said on this show is there's extortion involved here, and when that starts, there's a red flag, and I'm not believing anything until I get proof. And significant proof. Any allegation can be made on Instagram. Anything can be made to look, especially now with the deep fakes, anything can be made to look like anything. So until there's significant proof about these serious allegations, I'm not buying any of it. And
to my knowledge, too, none of these sources, and again, I'm not up to date with my sources that are coming from the Dominican Republic or the news outlets. I'm just not.
Right.
So if somebody is familiar with that, please let me know. But it just comes off like these are, and again, not defending them, it just seems like random, at least to my knowledge, it looks like random Twitter accounts who started spreading this yesterday. Yeah. And then it just kind of spread like wildfire. But again, knowing the fact of what the Rays did by pulling Basabe out of the game, and I have to think they can say whatever they want, I think they knew that this was going to come out today.
Damn
and so
right.
Clearly or yesterday. So clearly they had knowledge. Like, what did the Rays know ahead of time that led them to make that decision? I guess is the big question that needs to be answered. Did they get it from social media? Because this didn't start until around noon yesterday, essentially. So where did they get their information from if that turns out to be true that they knew the day before, I guess is the big question here.
Yeah, and, as hard as it is, and again, this goes to maturity, as hard as it is to do as a player, when this stuff is going on, you got to go to your organization, and especially if you're innocent, right? And say, hey, man, I got these people over here that are trying to extort me for $200,000 or more. And this is the story. This is what's happening. And even if you've made some mistakes in that regard, if you truly feel you've been duped and framed, you better get your organization involved, because they can bring resources to bear that can help you. And you have an obligation as a player and an absolute cornerstone to do that. Now, I'll say that with this caveat. If you trust your organization, and I'm here to tell you that maybe he doesn't. And I think it's fair, as much as we want to dump on Wander, and talk about his immaturity, I don't know what this organization has done to help him. I don't know if he trusts this organization, because clearly, they've done a lot of shady things. So let's put that out there too. So, if these allegations are proven true, do they get out of that contract? Probably so. The whole damn thing stinks. And it once again, it derails a team on the field that really had some promise. And I'm here to say, mark this point. You can actually go back and mark the point that the Braves went to the media. Another interesting situation. Went to the media and said Wander's not a good teammate. And had Topkin, and Topkin obviously wrote the story. I'm not saying anything against Mark Topkin. I'm just saying I doubt very seriously if Mark Topkin was digging into something and found this out and went to the Rays and said, hey, what's going on with Wander? Maybe that happened. I don't know. But for the Rays to have quotes in that story and be talking about it publicly, okay, maybe they had already gotten some heads up as to what's going on with Wander, and they wanted to get it out there. I don't know. And maybe, I don't know. It just, the whole thing is weird. And at that point, Nick Geddes, this team that was 27-9 at one point has gone under 500 in tank. Now, there have been injuries. I get it. But Wander is the offense. And Wander went through a prolonged slump during that time. Did he not?
Right. He did.
So go back and mark that point. And that's when this team started submarining. And listen, it's well documented that he's had issues with his teammates. So look, I'm just putting a bunch of stuff out there, and all of this is a bad thing. The organization is untrustworthy. The player is immature. It is not. This is not a buttoned up organization when it comes to, you look at Atlanta, you look at Los Angeles, the Dodgers, you look at all these other franchises. You've got professional baseball players, mature organizations that make good decisions, build stadiums, get stuff done, do not hoodwink mayors and city councils. They're not doing that stuff that's happening here. And you know what? It's time for a lot of us, and us in particular, to move on and talk about an organization that, like the Buccaneers, that are doing things the right way. It's time for a lot of us.
And that's the overriding part here is when you look at it on the field. Like I said, this is the type of thing that could tank your season in an instant, with the unnecessary distraction that this is going to create, and then not having him out there on the field. Like, let's just be honest. Basabe, he got a base hit yesterday and everything. Basabe wasn't ready for this moment. And this came so far out of left field. And they're having to fast track him now to the majors with Taylor Walls not out there. And that's just, it is what it is. I told you kind of off air coming in, I'm at the point where it's like, you got to make kind of, out of the box thinking decisions now. And it's like, do you fast track Caminero, who just hit 3 home runs in Double-A, albeit 472-foot blast? You have to fast track that guy. Do we have to see him this year? He seems like he's good enough, or maybe he could skip Triple-A. I don't know. I'm just thinking of things to save the season at this point. And right now, I don't see too many avenues to get that done. That's the grand scheme of things. It's hard to find a path for the Rays right now to recover from all these things. It's not just this situation. It's all the other things that have taken place really after the first month or two of the season. I don't know how, like I said, I don't know how many more Band-Aids you can continue to put on this. I really don't.
You can't. And, it's sad, but this promising start to the season has turned into
It's a nightmare.
what's
This
going
is
to
a
be
nightmare at the
what's
moment.
going to be an epic collapse,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And, a lot of it is self-inflicted, but a lot of it is not. Just with the injuries that have happened to the pitching staff. It's just tough. And the fact that they didn't spend money, some of this is not self-inflicted. You could have gone out and got yourself some depth at the deadline in a lot of different ways. And
I don't know who's expecting. I didn't know who was expecting this to happen. So I mean, you want to think that your star player and the face of your franchise, you can count on that guy. And I just think, bottom line, at the moment, we're being proven that you can't.
Well, yeah, we knew he was immature, and that was known. And we knew that this team needed an offensive bump, and they didn't get it. They didn't go out and get a hitter. They didn't want to spend the money. It's just look. I'm over them. I'm over them, and it's a nightmare, and it's bad for it sucks for the fans because the fans really were invested in this team. They've showed up at the ballpark this year. They've done, they marketed the team. There's been a lot of good stuff that's happened this year, but it seems like the underlying foundation of this organization is one of subterfuge, and they're trying to get the stadium done in the backdoor way. I'm just tired of it. I'm just tired of it. They're cheap. They don't want to do it the right way. They don't want to be a responsible player in the community. The hell with them. The hell with them. I'm just done with them. I know maybe it's a little bit more personal with me, but I feel sorry for the fans and the sooner this ownership group gets out of here, the better, because there's a lot of great people in the baseball side of this organization that are doing fantastic stuff. And the ownership group has had plenty of opportunities to step up and partner with the community, but they've chosen not to. And that's on them. If you want to make money, great, fantastic, good for you. But, we're going to call it for what it is. This is not a team that is responsible to the community and wants to partner with the community like other organizations do. It's not what we see here. And, it is what it is. Let's move on to the Bucs. We got Sal Paolantonio coming up. And listen, the headline for me, couple headlines. Number one, Baker Mayfield's fine. Baker Mayfield's going to get the job done. And if that without Godwin and Evans, for him to go out and do what he did, tremendous pass to Trey Palmer. He was 8 for 9. He made all the right decisions, made some really good throws down the middle of the field. I loved everything I saw from Baker. He was in control. He was composed. He looked like a starting quarterback, and Kyle Trask, frankly, did not. So I think that competition, I don't care if you want to say it's already been decided, which we talked about on Friday, which I think it has. If it wasn't before the game, it has been. And it doesn't really matter. Both guys are going to play at some point in this season. But I think Baker, and I heard Dan Orlovsky said it this morning, like this is no competition. Baker's the guy. That's right, Tally. Baker's the guy. Absolutely.
Well, listen. I mean, I think Baker definitely extended his lead in this quarterback competition. If you felt that he had the lead, to be honest, so I don't think that was surprising. But to your point, yes, he looked like he had full command of the offense, and he looked like a guy who had started, 68 games or whatever, or whatever it is, so far in the NFL. So that wasn't surprising to see. And to Kyle Trask's point, you said he didn't look like a quarterback. I'm going to be honest. I don't even really know how to even judge what I saw from Kyle Trask because, to be honest, I saw some good things. And I thought it was kind of funny. They both played with the same offensive line in those games. When Baker was in there, it felt like he had pretty good protection. When Trask was in there, it felt like the protection broke down. When he threw an interception, it was like, 3rd and 19? So clearly he was trying to make a play down the field. Okay, whatever. So yeah, I don't even know how to get, I almost feel like I start both guys out when I'm trying to grade their performances. I probably start them both at a C, and then I kind of swing the pendulum based on where I want to go. Cause I think C is kind of a good starting point.
Okay.
I felt like Kyle Trask never got off the C. Right. I can't do anything to it. Baker, I give him a solid A, probably an A. I'd give him a solid A for what I saw from Baker. And the other point too, we always talk about, pay attention to what they do, not what they say. And they've been saying this is a quarterback competition and Trask has a shot and all this kind of stuff. What's the rationale to not have outside of Gedeke and Malk, to have a single starter on the offense playing with Baker Mayfield if this is a quarterback competition? And now what happens against the Jets? Are we going to run back the same thing for Kyle Trask? What sense is that if we're trying to get a sense on who's going to be the quarterback if they're not going to work with the ones in some capacity? That makes me infer that they've already had this made up and they're not going to put the ones out there to risk anything because they already know Baker's going to be the guy. That's the way my mind turned on that.
I think you're reading that perfectly. And frankly, this team is not good enough to sit 16 starters in the preseason.
No, they're def. They're def. That's what we can all. I think we can all agree their starters, I think, are better than what everybody thinks they are, and they're probably a 9, maybe 10 win football team with their starters in. But the depth on this team has got to be near the bottom of the league.
Listen, when I saw that, I'm like, wait a minute. And if this is Bill Belichick doing it, I'm not going to question him. If this is Mike Tomlin doing it, which, by the way, his starters played. And they lit it up. As far as I've seen, he's got a pretty good track record as a winning coach. I think he knows how to get his team ready.
Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs played a drive.
Yeah. Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Pretty good coach. I think he knows how to get his
Sean
team
Payton,
ready.
The Broncos played like a quarter and a half of their starters.
Yeah. What is Todd Bowles doing? I mean, again,
and also to the offensive line, what have they been saying? We want to get continuity on the offensive line. Are they going to go the whole preseason without that offensive line playing a game with each other?
The
or
first game they're going to play together under the lights is going to be in Minnesota?
Yeah, I just wanted to see a series just to see, because everybody talks about the operation. Well, I wanted to see the operation, and maybe we'll get there, okay? It's just one game. But I'm hoping that at least we see the operation with the ones at some point in the preseason. It just seems kind of odd in the middle of a quarterback competition, like I said, that you don't get those guys at least a series.
And what do you get? You get 12 penalties for 127 yards.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, that's young football players making stupid mistakes, but also some of your starters, Luke Gedeke, who was awful. And I asked Todd Bowles point blank after the game. It's like, it seems like he's the default right tackle here without any competition. What have you seen from Luke Gedeke that makes you feel he can do the job? Like, what have you seen? I've seen bad tape last year as a starter at left guard. You want to count the last game against Atlanta had the worst pass rush in the league and nothing to play for, I guess. I haven't seen anything. And he says the tape in camp is good. Well, maybe the guys he's going up against aren't very good, because the guy that plays for the Steelers and not even a starter abused him.
Nick Herbig, a fourth-round rookie.
Abused him. And I'm not, and you could, and I know, I got some messages and from some people know a lot more about football than me, that the tight end didn't help him on that play and he was supposed to. And I get that. And I'm just, man, I'm Malk and Gedeke. Malk is young.
Malk was worse than Gedeke, if we're being honest. If we're being honest in that game, Malk was worse because I thought Gedeke actually for the first half actually held his own. I thought he unraveled a lot in the second half, in particular, whereas Cody Malk, I thought I saw him getting blown off the ball multiple times throughout the game. I thought Malk was worse than Gedeke.
Yeah, the right side of the line is
still the biggest concern on the team.
Is a huge concern on this football team. And if Gedeke doesn't work out, they don't have many answers there.
They're screwed. They're screwed.
They're totally screwed.
Yeah, and Todd Bowles' coaching career as a head coach is screwed. I mean, I don't think people understand the magnitude of that. Like, is that too far to say? Todd Bowles' coaching career as a head coach in the league is hinging on the right side of that offensive line, because I don't think they're going to get anything done if the right side of the offensive line is going to struggle like this.
Look,
that's a huge leap of faith, because like, who are you going to go to if Luke Gedeke is your number one option? Let's just say you have a shorter leash this year and it takes you 2 to 3 games to realize he's not it. Well, who are you going to go to? Brandon Walton? You don't have a solution.
School? I mean, it's just
you got nothing. You got nothing. You got no season then.
Yeah, that is Filer's plan B for right tackle. All right, we'll move him, because there's a reason why he was
moved off the right tackle though by the Chargers. There's a reason.
Well, but you got a guy that started at left guard last year in Nick Leverett and played damn well, but now you automatically give Filer the job. I mean, it's getting late early. And if I were running this organization, and I know they got a lot invested in Luke Gedeke, I would be starting to look at plan B. I really would. And here's this is something from Buck's Basement I wanted to get out there because I think it's at this point this is up for discussion. I think Light needs to be called out for completely wasting all of our top picks of the last 3 years on these experiment players: JTS, Trask, Gedeke, Hall, Mauk. You know what? He ain't wrong. He ain't wrong. What are you seeing from those players right now?
You want to throw Keyshawn Vaughn in there as a top pick too? He was a 3rd round pick, and I'm here to tell you that Keyshawn Vaughn's going nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of
picks. The other night. There was nowhere to go.
Yeah,
but
literally. But yeah, until we see something from these guys, it's fair to have a concern about those top guys because I'm just not
writing them off. No, I'm not writing them off. Gedeke, I'm close to writing off. But and Hall and Mauk, even JTS, you got to give some time.
Yeah,
and I understand why they took Trask. They had to take a quarterback at some point to get someone in development. They needed to do that, and he was at that point, at that pick, he was good. I'm not writing him off, okay? If he gets beat out, he got beat out by the number 1 pick in the draft, which is Baker Mayfield. And I know that a lot of you dump on Baker Mayfield, but I think his story is yet to be written, to be quite honest with you. He's never going to be a superstar quarterback, but I think he can do some stuff in this league in the right situation. All right, we got to take a break, and when we come back, we will talk to Sal Paolantonio and get his thoughts on these Buccaneers. He was in camp this past week and sat down with Baker Mayfield. Sal Pal coming back.
Group JEEVES. Call for a free case evaluation 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Get that personal attention you so richly deserve. You can contact them through the website at jeeveslawgroup.com. All right, let's bring in the man, the legend at ESPN, Sal Paolantonio, NFL senior reporter for ESPN and a good friend of the program and loves to come to Tampa Bay, which he got to do last week, except when it's Africa hot like it was last week. What's up, Sal? Have you recovered?
Oh, boy, I love it. You know I love that hot weather, especially when I'm out on the tennis court or the golf course. But, they treat me like a king there. Head coach Todd Bowles, Nelson, Mike, PR department, they do a tremendous job. And I had a good Sunday conversation with Baker Mayfield, did a piece for SportsCenter. So I get the royal treatment, the red carpet rolled out for me, especially the first person I get to see in the press room is you. That was fun. It was good to catch up with the boss.
Well, thank you for that. You deserve it, my friend. You deserve the red carpet. Absolutely. Well, you mentioned the sit down with Baker, and I loved it last night. We saw it, tweeted it out, and I could see you were trying to get into his mindset and where he's at more than anything from a maturity standpoint, which is, honestly, when he had his first press conference here, I asked those same similar questions, and he always seemed to give the right answer, and it seemed authentic. What kind of feel did you get?
Well, I've known Baker since he won the Maxwell Award for the best college football player in Atlantic City, Ron Jaworski's great program here in the Philadelphia area. So I've known him since he came out of college. I've always liked his moxie. And I think now he is sort of dialing that back a little bit, understanding where he fits into the grand scheme of things a little bit better. I asked him specifically what kind of mistakes he felt like he made, especially in Cleveland. And, he understood that sometimes he can't let his temper get the best of him. And he's got to think about how that's going to impact his teammates and his organization. So Baker's always had great ability. He's always had great ability to adapt, JP. Two-time National Collegiate Walk-On of the Year in FBS, only player in history to do that. And that just tells you a whole lot about what kind of player he is and how teammates gravitate towards him. And in talking to the coaches and the players there, they like his command and control. They like how he gets them in and out of the huddle. They like his experience level. I am not ready to report emphatically, like Ira Kaufman did, that Baker Mayfield will be the starter. But it seems to me that after talking to the coaches and the players, that Mayfield is ahead of Kyle Trask. Not by a significant amount, but he is ahead of Kyle Trask. And it would shock me if week one, Baker Mayfield, if healthy, was not the starting quarterback of the Bucs.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Sal. And I think, I said this on Friday, I think both things can be true. I think the organization can have Baker Mayfield pointed towards starting in Minnesota, but also say, this is a competition and we want to see what Kyle Trask can do in the preseason and maybe the regular season as well. To start Kyle Trask in Minnesota, as you know, one of the loudest buildings, even the old building and the new building, one of the loudest in the NFL. It's a very intimidating place. The Vikings are a good football team. When you got a guy with 68 starts under his belt in the NFL and a guy with 0, come on. The organization obviously would say this is the guy who's going to get the ball first. That makes sense to me, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be the starter for the entire season. Is that fair?
Let's look at the circumstances and let's look at the merit. Those are two important things when you're picking a starting quarterback. You just laid out the circumstances, and I'm here to tell you that based on merit of what I saw, Kyle Trask needs more NFL experience. And I would give him as many snaps as you possibly could in the preseason without overloading him. And I would start Baker Mayfield week one, the first 4 games of your schedule. You must go 2-2 out of the gate. And if you don't, if Baker Mayfield, doesn't play well, which I don't think will happen, then you put in Kyle Trask after that bye, or the early bye that you have. Here's the bottom line, and I hope people pay attention to this point because it's an important point, and it's a point you and I discussed when I was there last Monday, a week ago today. It's much easier to start Baker Mayfield and then go to Kyle Trask.
Right.
And to start Kyle Trask and go to Baker Mayfield and then back to Trask. Much easier to do it the former way than the latter.
Yeah. It's a great point. And I guess the other point about this is, what about the team around him, Sal? And I think this Ryan Jensen thing is a really, really big deal. If Ryan Jensen can't play, and right now it does not look good, I'd be interested to hear what you think. And you're once again, this offensive line that's teetering on, the could be really, really bad. After what I saw Saturday night, the right side of that line, that's another key, and it doesn't look good. How do you think that affects this overall offense if Ryan Jensen can't be ready?
Well, I think right now it's conjecture about Ryan Jensen. He's a really tough guy. His decision not to have surgery and go the old-fashioned route, or the tried and true route. That's the rub. And
No.
he will either be a trailblazer, or it'll be a setback for people who want to go the route that he went, in terms of not having surgery and trying stem cell instead. So that's one. Two, offensive lines always struggle, especially in the last couple of years, because you're not hitting in camp at practice. So it's very difficult to develop chemistry on your offensive lines. And if you watched any of the preseason this weekend, we saw problems with just about every offensive line in the NFL. Plus, you're not playing a lot of your starters. Carolina, New York Jets, Eagles had problems. San Francisco had big problems. You can go down the list of teams that had problems with their offensive lines. Defenses are always ahead of offenses in camp. And now the added problem that you're not hitting in camp makes it much harder for the offensive lines to gel. So I think overall teams are aware of it. And JP, in my travels this summer, the number one point of emphasis for NFL coaches is, how are we going to protect the quarterbacks? And how are the quarterbacks going to protect themselves? And how are quarterbacks going to protect the football? You had 68 different starting quarterbacks in the NFL last year. That's the most in NFL history in a non-strike season. Wow. You have teams blitzing more and more, and you have quarterbacks turning the ball over more and more. The number one indicator of wins and losses in the NFL in the last 3 years has been number of turnovers by the quarterback position. So protect the quarterback protecting himself, quarterback protecting the football. Those are the 3 points of emphasis, without a doubt.
Sal Paolantonio joining us here from ESPN. Was a Bucs camp last week. Well, I watch Get Up every day, and the question this morning was, will the Tampa Bay Bucs have the number one overall pick next year? I was offended by that, and I'm sure Bucs fans were. Is this team that bad? You've been to a bunch of camps. Is this team that bad?
Oh, man. I thought you were going to say you watched Get Up this morning and you were disappointed that I was not on the show.
Well, of course. That goes without saying, Absolutely. They needed you this morning to set them straight on this point alone.
The Bucs are not going to have the number one pick.
No.
The Bucs are going to be in the division title race right down to the end.
Good. That's what I want to hear. That's what fans want to hear. And is it there's just too many good players on this roster, to me. And my only question mark really is the head coach and the coaching staff. And I didn't like the fact there were 12 penalties in the first preseason game. I'm not going to go crazy about that. But I also didn't like the fact that he sat 16 starters. And I didn't see Mike Tomlin do that. I don't see Bill Belichick doing that. I don't see the Chiefs doing that. At least for a little bit, don't you have to get your starters up to speed and get some guys together? This is where you sat down with Todd. What's your feel on how he's going to handle it this year?
Yeah, 16 starters sitting and 11 penalties in the first preseason game is not a good start, for sure. I'm a big believer in giving starters a little bit of a taste of preseason action. So I always like the idea, hey, you play a series or two and then you sit, for sure. With certain exceptions, like, Aaron Rodgers does not need to play. in my view. I don't think he does. And if you remember, Carson Wentz came in and did not play any snaps in the preseason and wound up being the starter in Philadelphia, their Super Bowl year. So you can go both ways, but I think with this particular team, I do think they need to have their starters on the field. I do.
Yeah.
And I think you'll see them on the field in this game. But, when you and I were talking in the press room at One Buck Place last Monday, one of the points that I tried to make to you and what I've seen, JP, is there's too much practice, especially for the quarterbacks. They got to do a better job, in my opinion, of protecting these quarterbacks. Protect their arms. Don't give them so many reps in practice. I think there should be every team should have 5 quarterbacks in training camp. 5.
Yeah,
absolutely. You can run a lot of plays with a 4th and 5th quarterback and still have your first offensive line on the field to get them to mesh and have some chemistry and some timing.
I totally agree with that. And the arm issues happen. We saw that with Brady last year. His arm got fatigued, and I don't know if that happened with these younger guys, but still, I would agree with you on that.
They throw too many passes. They throw too many passes in practice.
Yeah, I agree.
I like Todd Bowles, but I would hold those practices at night.
Yeah, this is a thing, and I learned this. I don't know if you remember Jeff Fain, who was a longtime center for the Bucks in Cleveland, a number 1 draft pick, super smart guy out of Notre Dame. He played in a couple different places. Said, practicing in the heat does not give you an advantage. It just wears you out. He goes, come Sunday.
I don't like practicing in the heat. No.
Yeah, because you said come Sunday.
Now, brother, they're playing until the second week of February, brother. Come on.
No, I agree. And it's a toll that it takes on you. And most of these guys show up in shape, right? This is not 1975 where they have 6 preseason games. They got to get these guys in shape because they've been working at the lumberyard.
2 practices against another team. You don't need 2 practices against another team. Just one's good. That's it. And the 3rd preseason game has become like the old 4th preseason game. It's totally useless. I'd get rid of it. You need 2. That's it. Done.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. All right, so you've been doing your travels around the league. What's really standing out to you right now? Is there a team that you say that you went and saw and said, "Wow, this could be a surprise team"?
Wow. I mean, let me flip the script on you and say this.
Okay.
Not impressed so far with the New York Giants. Not impressed so far with the Carolina Panthers. Not impressed so far with the Minnesota Vikings. Not impressed so far with the Miami Dolphins. And I have not been to all those places, but I see cut-ups of practice and I watch them. I think, again, the number 1 problem that you see around the league that we saw last year, JP, is there are not enough good offensive linemen. They're just not. Teams are drafting high quarterbacks, pass rushers, wide receivers, corners, and then offensive linemen. And, you're just not like, if you don't have a good offensive line coach to develop and have the patience, like look in Philadelphia, where I am. They have one of the best offensive linemen in the line coaches in the league, in Jeff Stoutland. And they drafted Jordan Mailata out of Australia, a rugby player. And it took them almost 4 full years to get Jordan Mailata to where they wanted him. And now he's the starting left tackle on a 2nd contract.
Yeah.
And that's tough to do, right? It's a really tough to do. It's a high percentage of players who don't make it going that route. It's very difficult to do it that way. So there's very few teams right now that have their starting 5 on the O-line. And if you don't have that, you look at what happened in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
Andy Reid went up against the number 1 pass rushing team in the NFL on the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles did not touch Patrick Mahomes in that game after knocking Brock Purdy out and his backup out in the NFC Championship game. So if you have an offensive line and it's working and a quarterback to go with it, that's the key.
Well, I hate to, and I know you know this, but Pat Mahomes has a new left tackle that we know quite well in Donovan Smith. He wasn't very good here last year. I know he had a dislocated elbow in the beginning, or an injured elbow, and that certainly hurt him. But I don't know how that's going to work out in Kansas City, but we'll see how it affects Patrick Mahomes. But that offensive line, I'm with you, brother. And we saw, coming back to the Bucs, Luke Gedeke had a really tough night on Saturday, and Cody Mock is a rookie, and I talked to him after the game, and they tried to run short yardage behind those guys twice, and they got no movement whatsoever. Mock was knocked off the ball a lot. That happens with rookies, and if that's where the Bucs are solidified on the right side, where they think those two guys can get it done, and I asked Bowles after the game, what makes you think Gedeke can do it? They said he has had good training camp tape. I don't see it, partner, and that's my biggest worry about this Buccaneer team.
Yeah, but they don't practice short yardage anymore in NFL training camps.
No. I remember the Bucs used to come out. That was their first. I forget who the coach was. It may have been Bray Perkins or something. First segment of training camp, we're going goal line for 20 minutes, full contact. I don't know if we want to go back to that.
Just remember this: training camp and preseason games are for individual evaluations based on the matchups that they faced in that particular game in practice. It's not for judgments. So we're still in August. We're still 3 weeks away. If I were Todd Bowles, I would shift to nighttime practices. You got a veteran quarterback and some offensive linemen who could use a rest, and you got some veterans on that defense. And I would name Baker Mayfield the starter right after the third preseason game so that you know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, it may be quicker than that. All right, my friend, thank you so much for being generous with your time. Great sit down with Baker. I hope everybody can see it. I tweeted it out as well. If you missed it last night on SportsCenter, will they be maybe running it again? I'm not sure, but if you missed it, you can go to my Twitter and check it out. Thanks, Sal, pal. Appreciate it, my friend.
Okay, I'll see you week 3. Eagles at Bucks, Monday Night Football.
Oh yeah, maybe it'll be cool enough for us to play tennis, and I'll start getting I'll get the ball machine out.
Okay, brother. Thank you.
Oh, I think JP might have gotten frozen on us here. So great interview there with Sal Pal, obviously. But we'll take a break here and see if we can get JP on. Or is he coming back here?
Am I back? Yeah, I mentioned it.
Yeah, there you go. You were frozen.
I didn't hear Sal's response to the tennis question. I stumped him with that one.
No, he said he was there. He was good to play with you. I heard it.
Okay, good.
I heard it.
All right,
so.
Awesome. Good stuff there. How about that? Night practices.
I would be for it. I didn't know that when you mentioned the Jeff Fain there.
Yeah, he told me that.
Them.
He said by the time you get to Sunday and you've been practicing out in that heat, come third, fourth quarter, you're drained, where the other team's fresh. And that kind of made sense to me. It's like, yeah, you get used to the heat a little. I don't think human bodies get used to that kind of heat. You're either dehydrated or you're not, right? Now, mentally, there's probably something to it. But, as a professional athlete, you got to overcome the mental, right? You got to overcome it's hot. Yeah, it's effing hot. It's like when you go to, Green Bay in December, it's effing cold. Yeah, but your body can still work if you allow it to work. Your body can't work when it's dehydrated. It shuts down. And if you're dehydrating yourself all week long, dehydration is a cumulative thing, right? If you wait to drink till when you're thirsty, you're done. It's right. Too late. So he said like, in this indoor facility, that's what it was built for, really. to get these guys out of the freaking heat. We had, we used to have they had the cool rooms a couple years ago where they would go into the cool rooms and cool off during practice. I think this constant, the heat index yesterday was 111. I mean,
right. The Bucks went inside.
Yeah, you got to do that. You got to do that. I think he's right. And plus, it wouldn't be during my show, and I can see the whole practice.
Literally.
Yeah.
But no, I think the other thing he said too was significant. The offensive line play, I couldn't agree anymore with that point. And I think that's part of the reason why, like the USFLs and the XFLs of the world and preseason football, when we get, later into the game, are kind of really hard to get through, is because it's the bad offensive line play that sticks out. Like, we talk about quarterbacks, and there's only 32 of them in the NFL. But how realistically of those 32, you're almost cutting it in half of guys you can feel like, okay, they can take a team to the playoffs, right? So that's a very exclusive position.
Right.
I think offensive line's the same way. I mean, how many teams do you think you feel confident around the league, 1 through 5 down the offensive line, that you love every single guy? You probably could name them on one hand.
Yeah.
There's a glaring weakness on every offensive line around the league. And so what do you think about the depth then about these teams? And it really is. It's interesting to me that the offensive line position over the last 10, 15 years, or maybe it's been longer, maybe it's been like this forever. Obviously, I wouldn't know. It just seems like that position really suffers the most from a drop-off standpoint around the league.
Well, I think, it goes back to the formulation, right? It's like when kids are coming up, right? And they want to, and you're a big kid. You're a big kid. You're a muscular kid. You're big, right? Okay, you're going to play the line, right? Well, where do the elite athletes want to play? They want to play on defense. They want to nobody wants to play offensive line. Nobody wants to play off. I mean, look at the athletes you have on the defensive side along the line, okay? And look at the athletes you have on the offensive line, right? And what is it? It's a battle of attrition. It's a battle of strength and will, and quickness and technique. And, case in point, Luke Gedeke versus Vita Vea versus TJ Watt versus JJ Watt versus Nick Bosa. Look at effing Nick Bosa and look at Luke Gedeke. Who's winning that? Like, I don't need to see tape. I stand side by side. I'm like, that guy. They're gonna have a physical battle to see who can hold their ground. That guy.
And by the way, speaking of Gedeke, and how much time are we going to continue to let this guy continue to be out there? Again, go back to the first 3 weeks of the season: Minnesota, Chicago, and Philly. How about week 1 on the road? It's Danielle Hunter that you're going to see. The Vikings know better. Danielle Hunter ain't going to see a single snap against Tristan Wirfs. He's going to see everything against Luke Gedeke. Week 2, whether it's Yannick Ngakoue or somebody else there, that guy can get to the quarterback. He ain't going to see a single snap, I'm willing to bet, against Tristan Wirfs. He's going to see it against Luke Gedeke. Hassan Reddick, he's seeing every snap against Luke Gedeke, and they're ready for it. They're already looking at the schedule, knowing they get Luke Gedeke. Like I said, you're going to know in the first 3 weeks if Luke Gedeke can play or not, because he's getting thrown into the fire with 3 pass rushers like that out of the gate.
And
we're going to know.
That's just the one-on-one. Like,
right.
Every blitz package, every defensive coordinator comes up with is going to target those 2 guys.
Right.
You're going to target those 2 guys. And that's the NFL. Welcome to the NFL. We're going to see your weakness, and we're going to relentlessly attack it. That's what they do. Good coordinators. And so get ready. Get your popcorn ready, boys. And I'm here to tell you that both those guys scare the hell out of me. Nice dudes. Yeah. I talked to Cody Mock, and Luke Gedeke is, he's a good dude. I'm praying for both of them, but they're overmatched. They're overmatched.
The only good thing I will say that will help the matter is you have a quarterback who can move and can throw very well on the run. We didn't even talk about that when it comes to Baker's performance. How many times you saw him running, and a lot of times to his left too, having to throw against the body. And he was throwing his first big throw of the game was to Trey Palmer on that bootleg rollout to his left with a guy barreling down on him pretty full speed. And he made a really good throw. I haven't seen that Tampa Bay in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, and especially like Jameis used to do it, but it never looked crisp. That looked really, really crisp.
Jameis moved like Fred Sanford.
Exactly. Baker's movement outside of the pocket looked really, really crisp. And that was like the big thing that I saw. And also, guys were wide open. We were promised to see guys wide open. I looked at some of the tape. There are multiple guys wide open on most of these plays.
Yeah.
That was exciting to see.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Like this, although I had to tweet it out. I mean, we've been waiting all summer long for this great wide open creative offense.
Yeah, the first drive
we're waiting for a freaking, Denver omelet with cheddar cheese and bacon and sausage and everything on top of it. And we got a stale plain bagel
with Keyshawn Vaughn. Keyshawn Vaughn up the butt.
Dave, what are you doing to me, man? Three straight up the gut.
They didn't go all the way in. They didn't go all the way into the water on that one, did they?
No, and people are like, "Come on, JP, it's just a pre." I know this is not.
Have a little fun, everybody.
I know this is not what he's going to call. I've been at practice. I see what it is. I know this is not it.
I thought he got in a play calling groove by the second, third series. He got in a nice groove. Baker said that as well, and they were absolutely, I thought, rolling. Even like there when they got towards the red zone, I'm like, okay, the Bucs sucked in the red zone last year. What do we have? And they made that look really easy.
Yeah, absolutely. 3rd and 6. I mean, that throw from Baker to Trey Palmer and that catch, folks, let me tell you, Trey Palmer, dude, 6 foot plus, 190. Look, they say he's 192. He looks 210 to me.
Yeah,
but
he's big.
That dude running a 3-3 with the hands that he has and his feel for the game. How's he last till 6th round?
That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, where is the flaw? He was a 6th-round pick, so you must see, like, oh, there's a flaw somewhere. He runs a 4.33, like you said. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school to LSU. Didn't work out, whatever. Goes to Nebraska, which has never been known.
He's behind Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. I mean,
Harris Marshall.
He never saw the field.
Right.
Yeah, he never saw the field.
But then he
until
goes
he got to Nebraska, and he sets a
receiving record at a place that was a dumpster fire last year, right? In the middle of that, and has never been known for passing it around the yard. So I'm like, where was the flaw here? I don't know how many receivers went ahead of Trey Palmer, but I think the Bucs. I mean, we've been talking about Devin Tompkins, and I thought Devin played well in that game also. Nothing against Devin Tompkins, but Trey Palmer, man, you talk about competition. Those two guys. I mean, every time I see them play, I think they're going to be right on the back of Russell Gage. I think that's fair to say already.
Yeah, I mean, I think the receiver position looks great here. I mean, after week 1, the receiver position I think is stacked. They got great receivers. My concern on the offensive line, went from, if it's a 10 bell scale, went from 7 to 9.5.
And by the way, Ryan Jensen was not at practice today either.
Yeah,
put that out there. That's the first time that he's missed 2 back-to-back days of practice so far.
I think he may be somewhere else getting other opinions. But yeah, that's to think that Ryan Jensen is going to be there on day 1. And that's the thing, I talked all off season about, I would move Robert Hainsey to right tackle because he played there in Notre Dame and played really well, not Central Michigan, Notre Dame. He played right tackle at Notre Dame and played really, really well. And the reason he's not there is because he's going to be at the starting center. And the Bucs knew that they knew that there was a pretty good chance that Ryan Jensen was not going to be able to answer the bell. And that just cascades down. Now that makes Luke Gedeke your really only right tackle. Although Matt Filer has played right tackle. And but to Bucs Basement's point, Luke Gedeke's a high 2nd-round pick. How I love me some Jason Light, but these guys got to work out. If these guys don't work out, Bucs Basement is right. Cody Mauch, 2nd-round pick. Luke Gedeke, 2nd-round pick. JTS, 1st-round pick, end of 1st-round pick. Logan Hall, top of the 2nd round. Let's go. Time to step up, put your big boy pants on, and show that the GM was right. Because right now, the arrow is pointing down on all of them. I'm taking Trask out of it, but that was still a 2nd-round pick. And I'm just, I'm here to say, if I'm picking offensive line or defensive line, you better be freaking Ali Marpet if you're going to go to Central Michigan instead of the SEC or the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Like I don't Those guys have been through the wars. They're big.
Oh, I think he might have froze on me again here. I think he might have froze on me. I don't know if anybody in the comments, if you hear JP talking, please let me know, because for me, he's frozen here, but he might pop back in. Yeah, I think he's frozen for good. So I'll go ahead and take a break here. We got to hit one anyway. So, no, JP, are you back?
Mm-hmm.
Are you back again? You went frozen again. You went frozen again. So I missed it.
My Wi-Fi is dipping here a little bit.
Yeah, but I was going to say, we could use a break anyway. So
yeah, let's hit the break.
We'll take a break and then we'll come back and go through more, because I had some more standouts and disappointments I wanted to get to from the game.
Yeah, lots more on Bucks, and we got some Bucks sound for you as well. So stay with us here. Brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo will join us as well at 11:45. We're going to talk about blood work and how important it is for your well-being and having a plan moving forward to get you to your best health. So stay with us. Quick break.
Coins sitting around the house. Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendimondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Hey, JP here for Extravaganza Productions Incorporated, EPI. You've probably seen their purple logo at so many events that you've gone to. They are based in Tampa, and for over 33 years, they've been creating and producing conferences, meetings, and special events, the biggest to the smallest. Solid reputation of delivering the best audio-visual, sound, lighting, entertainment, video production, and decor on time and on budget. I've worked with them with so many big events. The Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-style event all over Tampa Bay, from McDill to the Convention Center to USF. They did it flawlessly, made it look big and fantastic. I've worked with them on small events as well, large and small meetings and conferences, sporting events, fundraisers. If you got a fundraiser, you don't know the logistical way to pull it off, they'll take care of everything. Entertainment events, branding events, grand openings, so much more. The folks at Extravaganza Productions are the most professional and the best. I've worked with them many times. They are fantastic. You can contact them through extravaganzaproductions.com or call 813-621-4700. Extravaganza Productions, they are awesome.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, happy Creamsicle Day. As the Bucks went all out at practice today, the folks from Pewter Report sending out some pictures on what it looked like tonight at Armature Works. They're going to have a big celebration there. That should be packed. The mayor's going to be there to declare it Creamsicle Day. You heading out there, Nico?
I will be working, unfortunately, so I will be missing the Creamsicle festivity. But the mayor's out there this morning. I saw with Rondé Barber. She had her own custom Creamsicle jersey. I was sifting through some of the press conferences, and you know how they usually have that Buck background and everything. It's a Creamsicle Buck background. It looks amazing. So love to see that stuff. All the Hey Tampa Bay shirts, everybody's wearing them. We got Buccaneer Creamsicle flags all the way around Advent Health Training Center. And even I think somebody put it in here. Was it Lonnie? He said, "Happy Creamsicle Day, rocking my Bucko Bruce cap and Creamsicle orange shorts." I cannot believe anybody owns Creamsicle orange shorts. That is certainly
that doesn't work at Hooters.
Yeah, exactly. That's certainly a choice, Lonnie, but I appreciate it. I like it. Also said he got his Creamsicle jersey in the mail, his Brady one. He got a Brady Creamsicle jersey in the mail.
Make that make sense.
What?
He never wore it. He would refuse to let him do a Creamsicle Day while he was here. Come on.
Oh, shut it.
Like, stop at your reality stuff, right? I know I talk too much reality.
You're a little too real for me here on Monday. A little too real.
Yeah. Lonnie Wilkins, a dude, like, what are you doing? I spent 3 days in Orlando around the parks. Holy hell, I couldn't get back to the Gulf Coast fast enough. How do you go to the theme park at Disney in 111 heat index?
3 days.
Oh my God! You should be in the indoor facility, bro. Yeah, you got to be drained. My God. Between all the traffic and rude European tourists, holy hell, and smelly too. I'll tell you this one thing about around here. You don't hear a lot of English around here. You don't. It is like a melting pot of languages when you go out.
Yeah, Orlando's got to be like the most diverse place in Florida, I'd have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I lived there for 2 years, so.
That's why I still say Tampa Bay is the greatest place in the world to live. I mean, it really has a very blue collar feel to it, a very American blue collar feel to it. Nothing against, immigrants. My family are immigrants as well. Nothing against that. We love everybody, but it's nice to have, you walk around and, people are speaking English. It's a wonderful thing. You can communicate with people. They're not, and some of these people are just like I don't know if it's a communication barrier, but they're just rude. They're very rude. You know, it's just, it is what it is. I love Tampa Bay. I love living there. That's not makes any. I'm not trying to offend anybody. We love everyone. Come visit. It's all beautiful. But
Come visit. Please don't stay.
Yeah, I love
Please
Tampa Bay.
My roads are too congested. Please do not stay.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are staying. All right, so couple things we want to get into. So let's give you the floor. Your impressions of what you saw Friday night. What stood out?
Yeah, so we went through some of the big ones, obviously. I wanted to get into another guy who I thought easily, and I say easily, I think is the second best running back on this roster behind Rachaad White, and that's our boy Sean Tucker. Because I'm here to tell you, he had the touchdown that got called back by the Leverett holding. Yes. I saw the play on tape. That was not a holding. Okay, no. So I'm just going to disregard that.
Awful. They were terrible.
I'm going to go ahead and disregard that and tell you that Sean Tucker scored a touchdown. I don't care what the box score says. And I thought he had some good jump there on the outside. And again, that's a guy that probably was going to be a 4th or 5th round pick. He's not an undrafted player. It was the heart issue. Based on what I saw from Keyshawn Vaughn, I thought Chase Edmonds, he had a play in there and he got called back because of a holding. Shocker.
He's got some speed.
He's got some speed to him. Yeah. So I think that running back room, a lot of people have been, asking us, should they bring in a running back? I don't think they should. No. I think they're okay with Chase Edmonds, and I think Sean Tucker eventually will be the running back too in that equation. And Keyshawn Vaughn,
Keyshawn, look, there's nowhere to run. I don't know what you wanted him to do. I'm still not. Where was he going to go?
We're 4 years in.
He gets the handoff. There's 3 guys on him.
We're 4 years into Keyshawn Vaughn. I'm done. This is the Sean.
Every time he's gotten an opportunity, he's played well. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Every time. He did have good coaching the last couple of years. The guy that really liked him and invested in him, Byron. You're right. My bad.
Yeah, he did. He did.
I think a guy with a great eye for talent.
Offensive wizard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Great running game.
Analytical
holes everywhere. Yeah, that guy can't run. Yeah, he's terrible.
Anyway,
he's terrible.
Another big standout. I was so excited to see him. I thought he made his presence known in a few snaps that he got. Yaya Diaby. I saw him pushing his weight around and getting to the quarterback. He's got to finish. He had a little bit of JTS syndrome on one of those ones where he got through pretty easily. But just the fact he's so big, he's so strong. He had his way with that Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line, which I know it's not really. It might have been their ones. They had their ones out there, right, for the first drive, the offensive line.
Yeah.
I think he got through on that first drive at one point. So that was good to see, Yaya Diaby. And then my other here, you want to give your standouts? Because I was going to go straight to my disappointments. But if you had any other
Yaya, I talked to Yaya after the game. It's interesting. Rookies are interesting to talk to because, Yaya was kind of wide-eyed. It's like, man, my first game, I had the jitters, and I had the sack, and I was right there, and I just didn't close on it. The game was really, really fast. Cody Mock the same way, like the speed of the game was really fast. These guys are overwhelmed. They're rookies, and You get it. And it's going to be growing pains. But Yaya, he's got something. He's got a thump to him. He's going to be, once the game slows down for him, I think he's going to be a pretty damn good player. I really do.
Yeah. The guy who, to me, I don't even know if he had a good game or a bad game. He just, to me, is an enigma, and that's Zion McCollum, because he got beat with a George Pickens touchdown. That was him in coverage, but I thought it was really good coverage. I think the ball was just perfect by Kenny Pickett, to be honest. So
the perfect throw, and if I can interrupt you real quick, because I talked to him about this, and this is what I think is really a great growing point. I got it up on our Instagram, the whole interview with him. He said that first, he was mad about the first play. He goes, I said, you were in good position. Like, what happened on that play? He goes, you know what? I hesitated. And he goes, this has been my issue. I'm in good position, and then I hesitate to make the play because I want to, I don't want to give up a big play, and I want to get the tackle. Then I end up getting neither one. And he said, he went to the bench. He was pissed off. He got pissed at himself. He said, the next time, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to let my instincts take over and just make the freaking play. And what did he do? He's one-on-one down the sideline, and he was in great position. He turned his head at the right time, tipped the ball to himself, and made the pick. So maybe this was a light going on moment that you can't play hesitant, man. You got to let it freaking go. Mistakes happen, but make them at full speed.
Yes, and the reason why I said I don't know if I'd classify it that he was a standout necessarily is because he still had too many missed tackles
Yeah.
throughout the game to the point where Todd Bowles, let's be honest, he doesn't. I mean, you asked him a question about Gedeke, and he didn't say anything bad about Luke Gedeke, right? He actually, not that it was like a harsh thing that he said about Zion McCollum, but he admitted that he's got to work on his tackling, and that was a problem last year, and it sounds like it's been a problem so far. And then there was a follow-up question, I believe, there about how are you going to work on tackling in training camp where you don't even do that anymore. And so that's the thing. It's going to be on the job training really for Zion McCollum. He's going to have to figure it out. And whether that is a hesitation issue on his part or lack of focus or overrunning it, whatever it may be, that's a big problem. And because I bring it up is because the Bucs are rather, I think, a little thin behind Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean.
Yes, they are.
And they're an injury away from having Zion McCollum in there full time. And I just don't know if he's ready for that. And listen, he's a 5th-round pick for a reason. He's a physical freak, right? He can run, but he was a 5th-round pick for a reason. Okay, there were some deficiencies in his game. He played at Sam Houston State, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a big adjustment to the NFL. That's going to take time. So yeah, Zion McCollum, I probably put him in that tweener section because he had some really good plays and he had some not so great plays. And the other thing, too, that I thought was significant, and Bowles revealed this, Saturday, it looks like we have our nickel corner potentially is shaping up, and that's going to be Chris Izien, the undrafted corner from Rutgers. And I believe he had a nice game as well in that on the Friday.
I got it. I thought there were some mistakes by Izien. I thought the whole entire secondary looked bad. They couldn't tackle, couldn't cover. I think Kenny Pickett just sliced and diced them. I wasn't impressed at all. I didn't see anything good from anybody, quite frankly. I hope the light goes on for Zion. And this is why I like getting into the locker room and talking to these guys, because you see things in guys, and I talked to Zion, and Zion seems like a really, really nice young man. I don't know if he has the intensity level to play in the NFL, and he's going to have to ramp that up. And like when he says he's hesitant, you can't be hesitant, man. You look, you talk to Rondé Barber, even as a young player, man, you just got to feel like this mofo is determined. And, as he grew in his career, he's a bad man. You don't get that feeling from a Zion McCollum. You don't feel like he's a bad man. You feel like he's a really talented athlete, but I don't know if he has the intensity level that it takes to tackle in the NFL. I mean, you got to come up with an attitude and thump that dude and wrap up and go through him.
Well, maybe Rondé Barber is very close to this organization, clearly, and was out there today. Maybe that's a guy that Zion McCollum needs to, pick his brain a little bit.
Yeah.
Because if anybody knows what it's like to be to struggle initially in the NFL with the adjustment and everything, it's Rondé Barber. So if I'm Zion McCollum, and maybe he's done this already, but I'd be picking the brain of Rondé of how to do that. Because you want to talk about playing with no hesitation, that was Rondé Barber.
Well, and you look at, you talk to Carlton. Carlton is a man. Carlton is a badass man. And you look at his upbringing, through tough circumstances in Miami. Jamel Dean, similar guy. That guy has got some, he came in as kind of a quiet guy, but now you just feel that he's got that I'm in charge attitude. Antoine Winfield, same thing. There's just a different attitude to these guys that are real professionals. And these young guys have to grow into that. They got to grow into it fast. I would put a lot of guys in that category. JTS, Cody Mauch, Luke Gedeke, Logan Hall. These guys, Zion McCollum. You got to step up. It's time to put your big boy pants on and play. Who else did you like or not like?
I don't even know how much this one matters, but I'm going to point it out anyway because there was a commenter somewhere here. I can't find it, but he said, "Is it fair to say?" I think it was RJ. Is it fair to say that John Wolford played better than Kyle Trask? That's what I felt I saw. It's a third-string quarterback, but I'm just going to put it out there. I think John Wolford might be the most impressive third-string quarterback that I've seen the Bucs have. I think I said this maybe when you were on, to the point where if something seriously bad happened and I had to go to John Wolford, I don't think the game's over. He gives me that feeling. I thought he played really well in this game. And to Trask, I forgot to mention this too when I was talking about his game. keep in mind, he also had a really nice rope that he threw across the middle of the field, probably like 20, 25 yards down. And it was Keith. And, God bless Keith, but he's not going to be catching passes for this team in the regular season. Any other guy on that roster is probably making that catch. And again, it's those little things, like the stat line looks a little differently. Instead of being 6 for 10, he's 7 for 10 with 120 yards and the one mistake and some bad offensive line play. So I don't know. I didn't come away from that being so negative on Kyle Trask, to be honest with you. I just thought he was it was in the middle. He was in the middle, in my opinion. Like I said, I start with that C grade, and I don't think he moved from that, but I don't think he was horrible.
No, I don't think he was terrible. I think he played okay. For what he was given to work with, I think he played fine. It was the one glaring mistake, which you can't make. And you made a good point. It was 3rd and 19.
And we wanted him to. That's the thing too. We wanted him to take shots down the field, and we wanted him to push it a little bit. I thought he tried to, obviously, on that play.
What I hated about it was he stared down the receiver in a 3rd and 19 zone situation like that. You just can't stare the guy down. If you're going to make that throw, you got to look right. You got to look right. You got to look right and come back and zip it left.
Right.
And he looked. He had a little half roll he needed to make to kind of alleviate the pressure. Which kind of if you're a defender, if the quarterback's moving to his left, cut off you basically cut off the right side. So now the defender can already cheat over. Yeah. It was, you saw that thing happen in the whole way. It was an interception waiting to happen. And, you just can't make that play.
Yeah. And a couple other things, because there's a lot of position battles. This one's a little lower on the, not a player we talk about a lot, but I thought Cam Gill had a really nice game. He had a sack and a half. Yeah. And listen, he's been around here for 4 years. He had a sack
in the Super Bowl.
I was going to say, he had a sack in the Super Bowl. I think every time he gets in there, I think I come away going, okay, that guy can play a little bit. And I'm just pointing it out because there's a lot of competition there, and they've drafted some guys to get in front of him. And I thought this was significant because I think he's probably battling with Jose Ramirez for that last spot. Jose Ramirez only got 3 snaps in that game.
Which is weird. Weird.
And I saw Greg Allman put this out there. I think it was Greg who put it out there, and it makes a lot of sense where sometimes if they know a guy's not going to make the 53-man roster, they'll hide them a little bit in the preseason so other teams can't get a gauge of who this guy is. Right. That way, when the roster crunch happens, they can get him back on their practice squad.
Absolutely.
Maybe
100%.
That's what they're doing with Jose Ramirez, but I took note of that because it looks like Cam Gill might have the upper hand on Jose Ramirez so far for that last pass rusher spot.
Yeah, I agree because they love what they've seen in practice, and I've seen some one-on-ones with him, and the kid looks good, man. He's undersized. He's really undersized, but so is Von Miller. Not saying he's Von Miller, not saying that, but I'm just saying undersized guys that have speed and a great technique, which he really has really, really good team. He gets low, he runs that loop so low. And, if you're a big offensive tackle, that's hard to get down and get those guys. They dip under you. And then they're up into the quarterback, and it's a really effective move for these shorter, quick, kind of really strong guys, and that's what he is. So I think you're absolutely right. So we better stop talking about him. Shh! Don't mention Jose Ramirez at all. All right. What other notes? I think I did all my bitching, but I just come down to something just from a macro standpoint. And I hate saying it because I love Todd Bowles, but I don't trust him to get this team ready. 12 penalties, 16 starters sitting. Nobody else is doing that. I don't know. I want this team to be. I think Baker Mayfield's your guy. I think that's clear now. Come on, let's go. Let's go. This is not a team that should be resting all of its players. These people on Get Up think you're going to get the number 1 draft pick. And a lot of it is because of the coaching. Where's the accountability? This is the same shit we saw last year with stupid ass penalties. And I know it's early in the preseason, but you're practicing these guys outside. You're not running the starters. I'm not sold on what he's doing with this football team.
Whereas I watched at least the first half of this game yesterday because I was curious to what I was going to see with the Saints and Chiefs, and the Saints had one drive with all their ones out there, everybody. And I don't know if you saw the drive, but Derek Carr looked damn good.
Damn good.
And that offense was moving. They got everybody involved, from Michael Thomas to Kamara to even Jimmy Graham had a catch and everything. They got those ones in there, went right down the field and scored and got them out. That's all I really wanted to see. I just wanted to see that. I don't think the Bucs are a good enough team like they have been in the recent years where they could get away with maybe not having to play their starters, and you could be like, all right, whatever, it's just a preseason.
Right. Yeah, a veteran team. One of the youngest teams in the league right now.
Yeah, to me, especially with an offensive coordinator who's never called plays before in the NFL, I think it would be best in their interest to get at least a series where Dave Canales is calling these plays with the ones so he can figure out what he can do and what it looks like. I still got a good feel for what it looked like, don't get me wrong. And I guess this is a good thing. The fact that it looks so good after the first series with Baker in there with twos gives me a lot of hope, I guess, for what it's going to look like when they do get the ones in there. And obviously theoretically, you're going to clean up a lot of those issues with all the ones that are in there. So I guess that is a silver lining.
Theoretically.
Yes, theoretically. But I still would like to see at least a little bit of it.
Football is about execution, right? And if you're not practicing it and perfecting it, you're not going to be good at it. And you have to practice it simulate as real a game situation as possible. And the preseason games give you an opportunity to do that. It's football. People are going to get hurt. But if you're saying, I'm not going to let anybody hurt while you're wearing their ass out in the heat in the morning, right? Instead of going inside, it seems contradictory to what you're trying to get done. And this is too young of a team to be holding your starters in game one, in my opinion. And these guys need to practice. They need to perfect. They need to get some confidence going. And I can tell you this, Dave Canales did not call those first three plays. That was a defensive coordinator saying, we're going to be physical up front and we're going to run the ball right down their throat and just prove that we're going to be a physical offensive running football team.
That's not their DNA.
It's not their DNA, and it's not the NFL anymore, man. It's not the NFL. This is not, you can't bludgeon people to death anymore in the run game and expect and think that you're going to win games 17-13. It's not the way the NFL works anymore. And I'm not sure Todd Bowles gets that. I'm all for not turning the football over and, being physical in the run game to help the balance of the team. And I'm not here to say that that's the way they're going to start every game. But if the whole offensive philosophy is we're going to run the ball and be physical and not turn it over and not, no, that's not how the modern game works anymore. And I'm afraid Todd Bowles really feels that he can do that.
Yeah, we've been saying it, right, since the beginning of the season. The biggest thing that could hold the Bucs back outside of this offensive line, the right side of it, is Todd Bowles. I mean, that's just the end of the story. I feel like we know who Todd Bowles is by this point as a head coach, and how much are you going to change after 5 years? I don't know, but hopefully that happens. I did want to get to this little update real quick, and this was from practice today. I had mentioned Ryan Jensen not practicing today or yesterday. We got as definitive as an answer, I think, so far from Todd Bowles today. And I'll read the quote here. He said, when we go into this season, I don't think we're going to have anybody if they haven't practiced. You're always prepare if somebody gets hurt or if somebody's going to stay hurt. So we prepare that way every day. So that has not changed. So that, to me, I thought is very telling, that first part of that quote, that if you haven't practiced, we're not counting on you being here. So it seems like we have to prepare, and the Bucs sound like they're doing that. This is going to be the Robert Hainsey, Nick Leverett show for right now. And the status of Ryan Jensen, can't count on him. No more can we count on Ryan Jensen, I think, for this season at the moment.
So that was a specific question about Ryan Jensen?
Yes. And
he said, if you're not practicing, you're not going to be playing.
Right.
Wow. Well, 2 years in a row, not having your star center. It's I said it last year, go get somebody. But the minute he went down, I said, go get a veteran. Go get him. You got to go. I even went as far as say, Jason Light's not that dumb. He's going to go get somebody, of course. You can't just go in Tom Brady's final season with a rookie center. You can't do that. Like, that's crazy, right? And yeah, Brian Jensen isn't in there, folks. It's a cascade. That's how the Bucs get the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah, I think it's like come to the point where, we can be as optimistic as we want about this team and say, they're going to win 8 games, they're going to win 9 games, but there's so many other factors that are going against them that we can't lose sight of. And that's head coach. This is a head coach quarterback league at the end of the day. That has always been true. No?
True.
And you have one of the bottom 5 head coaches in the NFL for my money.
Yeah.
Who's probably on the short list to be the first.
By record.
Yep. You have a quarterback who, albeit looks really good, is still a wild card of sorts with Baker Mayfield.
Certainly not a proven commodity.
And you have an offensive line that right now does not look like it has the ability to hold up for a 17-game season. So you put those factors into it. I don't know, honestly, looking at it, and try not to overreact over one game. But I don't know if you can count on the fact that maybe they're going to outdo what everyone's saying. I don't know if they're going to be number 1 pick bad, but they might end up being a team that's in the bottom half of the league.
Well, listen, I know for a fact that they're counting on Luke Gedeke getting the job done. They have confidence in him. That's what Todd Bowles told me. That's what people inside the building are saying, that he needs to work out. And if that's what this season is hinging on,
oof.
How's Caleb Williams looking?
Stop it.
Drake May.
Stop it. I'm not
tape on Drake May.
I'm not entertaining that yet. I'm not going to entertain that. We get midway through the season and they're like 1-7, then we can start talking about
Maybe we'll draft the Heisman Trophy winner from this year. Jordan Travis.
I knew you were going to point. I knew you were going to say Jordan.
I'm kidding, folks. I'm kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Hey, we already did that Florida State thing, man. We ain't doing that again. How'd the Gator thing work out? That's not working out either. All right, quick break. We'll come back and get into some other NFL stories over the weekend and some other baseball stories. You see what Cedric Mullins did yesterday? Oh, my. And a couple other nuggets from the weekend. We are brought to you by the great folks at Extravaganza Productions. If you have a meeting coming up, a charity event, a big event that you have been doing for years and years, and maybe you want to switch it up and do something different, well, how about talking to the folks at Extravaganza Productions? Because they will give you a free creative session with them. They'll show you the whole warehouse, all the great props they have, and they'll tell you what they can do for you. Maybe you want to switch it up, do something different, maybe use a different company. Extravaganza Productions is the best in the business. They've been doing it in Tampa Bay for decades, and just call my friends over there, Paul Thomason and Dolly, and they will hook you up that free creative session and really kind of feel like what you can do for whatever your budget is. They'll have something for you. So just go to the website, extravaganzaproductions.com, and contact them through there. Tell them JP sent you and get that free creative session. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. During COVID, over 1.7 million people were added to the Florida Medicaid rolls, but as of April 1st, 2023, most of these people may not be eligible for the Medicaid coverage and will lose their health plan. If you have been notified you are losing your coverage, don't freak out. It's very likely you can apply for a federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. Just call 877-652-0244. Our representatives will walk you through the whole process, get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free health care. You can select great plans like Florida Blue. That's my carrier. Love them. Paying $800 left after making the call. 877-652-0244. Our highly trained professionals know all the intricacies of the new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. So if you're being dropped from Medicaid, fear not. Call 877-652-0244. Get real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244.
Hey, JP here for Extravaganza Productions Incorporated, EPI. You've probably seen their purple logo at so many events that you've gone to. They are based in Tampa, and for over 33 years, they've been creating and producing conferences, meetings, and special events, the biggest to the smallest. Solid reputation of delivering the best audio-visual, sound, lighting, entertainment, video production, and decor on time and on budget. I've worked with them with so many big events. The Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-style event all over Tampa Bay, from McDill to the Convention Center to USF. They did it flawlessly, made it look big and fantastic. I've worked with them on small events as well, large and small meetings and conferences, sporting events, fundraisers. If you got a fundraiser, you don't know the logistical way to pull it off, they'll take care of everything. Entertainment events, branding events, grand openings, so much more. The folks at Extravaganza Productions are the most professional and the best. I've worked with them many times. They are fantastic. You can contact them through extravaganzaproductions.com or call 813-621-4700. Extravaganza Productions, they are awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at American Mortgage Services. If you are in the market for a refinance or you got a lot of credit card debt that you've kind of been racking up over the past few months because everything is freaking going for the roof. By the way, 8% inflation, who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? Well, who these experts are. If you need some more money to pay your bills, that refi might be the way to go. Get those credit card bills down to a low interest rate. American Mortgage Services, Scott Fitzgerald, he'll give you all some great advice on how to manage your money. Get that refi, pay off higher interest credit cards or car loans, and make those dollars go as far as possible. He's probably still got some equity in your home. So find out what you can do. Just email him, scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com. All right, Nikki, we got some comments I want to get to today. Let's run through some of these. You took out some of your favorites. Of course, I'll start with this one from Lonnie.
I knew
JP's rant on the Rays was so valid. I'm tired of giving money and time to an organization with an owner who does not care to give back to the fans or the community. Bucks and Bolts are always celebrating. Got that right, 100%. He continues. Rays had the family game where it was 25% off all merchandise. I noticed they pulled all the Devil Rays jerseys, claiming they were, quote, sold out. Then a day later, it was fully stocked again. How about that? How about that, Nick Geddes?
I hear nothing. I see nothing.
This is who they are. This is why, and this is, by the way, we've almost 48 hours in this cycle for the Wander allegations against him, right? And I'm starting to lean more towards this is extortion, this is bullcrap, and look, I know these are serious charges, but the Rays should have a pretty good handle on what's going on, who this girl is, what's happening. Is she 21? Is she not 21? Like, what's happening with this? And I don't know if we're at the end of this story yet. We'll find out what's going on eventually. But do you trust the Rays to handle this the right way? Does Wander trust the Rays to handle it the right way?
Keep in mind, this is a Major League Baseball issue now, though. With the Rays working with MLB, I think that's essentially that this becomes the MLB
thank God
office, and whoever's in charge there, I think, is probably going to be running this investigation, I would have to assume.
Yes,
so not saying the Rays are completely out of this investigation. I'm sure they're going to do whatever they can to provide assistance for what they know and everything. But I think this becomes an MLB issue now with them being involved.
But as I said, we know it's a shady operation up top. That's given. And then for them, and I'll reiterate this point because we were going to play the cash post. You want to play the cash post?
You want to play the soundbite about Wander, right?
Yeah. There's the two questions at the end.
Yeah, let me get that.
Because this is
involved with Franco not playing today. There's a day off.
No, just a day off.
Yeah, because there was some speculation we saw him leave the dugout in the game and then come back.
Yeah, I'm aware of this speculation. I'm not going to comment any further on that, but the day off was because the day off.
That's, as I said, I'm not putting that on Kevin Cash. Somebody in the organization told him to say that, and that's patently a lie. Because Basabe was taken out the night before, sent to Tampa Bay, and Wanderers played 40 days in a row. I get it, but it was his promo day with the snapback hat. I don't believe that for 1 second. And for them to tell Kevin Cash to say that, and then for the statement to come out after the game,
right?
It makes Kevin Cash look like a fool.
Yeah, and this is a good point too that Jordan G, and I was going to bring this up. He reminded me here, last season, this happened with Ian Cole with the Lightning. He said slandered and accused of something similar last season, and the NHL cleared it pretty quickly, but social media ran with it, and it obviously became a much bigger deal. That there is precedent there, at least in this market. We've seen what happened last year with Ian Cole, and to what Jordan G said, that was handled pretty quickly. So maybe that happens here. I don't know. This seems like it's pretty layered, to be honest, and it seems like there's so much maybe misinformation out there about this or unknown information. So clearly it's going to take some time for Major League Baseball to put all the facts together here before anything is certain.
And this is another important point from Jordan that I also brought up in the beginning. This girl literally admits to extortion. She should be locked up. She asked for $200K in a Benz. WTF. I'm glad he didn't pay. Tells me he's confident in his ability to clear his name pretty quickly. Absolutely. I mean, if I gotta take a guess right now, that's where I'm at. This is clearly extortion.
Yeah, it could be.
I said that from the very beginning. Once you admit to extortion, your credibility goes out the window. And you don't think that there are people in this world that would try to play this game with him? Whoa, you didn't know she was 14 years old? Well, no, because she's driving a car, has a baby, and is drinking alcohol on her Instagram. If this is the woman that is in question,
I want to know where the timeline is too when this relationship takes place. Because even if it's found out that she's not a minor, and it was just a consensual relationship and this is extortion, I still have questions about Wander Franco only because of the fact that I believe Wander Franco is married. He's very private with his personal life, but from everything I've understood, he is married and has 2 kids with his wife. So I want to know the timeline of this whole thing because obviously that becomes a personal issue, right? But still, is it the best look for Wander Franco regardless? And again, if the timeline is that he was dating this girl during being married and having kids, it's still not a good look, is it?
No, it's a terrible look. But, again, to me, the only thing we know right now is the girl is admitted to extortion.
Right.
And so, at that point, this is why I hate everybody posting stuff on the internet, the memes and all this stuff. And we're already going to go to believe this woman who's admitting to extortion that she's 14 years old. No, I don't. Now, if it turns out to be true, well, then fine. Not fine, but innocent until proven guilty. That's still the way we're supposed to be in this country. And again, I don't trust, and I'm glad MLB is involved in this now. It's a great point you make, Nick, because I don't trust the way. Look how the Rays have handled it already. They try to sweep it under the rug. Then they have their manager go out and tell a bold-faced lie that it was just a regular day off. And then 10 minutes later put out a statement that clearly it wasn't. If I'm Kevin Cash, I'm pissed. I'm pissed that they made me do that because he didn't do that on his own. Ain't no freaking way. And why are you doing that as an organization? Come on. You know?
I mean, I don't know. We can go down all the theories that we want. I don't know what the right thing is to do in that situation. I really don't. I just don't.
All right. Well, some other stuff we need to get to. Cedric Mullins is back with the Orioles. First player ever to rob a go-ahead home run and then hit the game-winning home run, at least in the last 10 seasons since they've been tracking this particular metric.
The Orioles continue to expand their lead on the Rays.
You know, how are they doing it without top flight starting pitching?
I don't know. I thought they were going on a West Coast swing against Seattle. At least the Rays have struggled up there. I thought Baltimore would, and then they go out there and win that series. So, I mean, they're playing free. They just have nothing to lose. They're a bunch of young guys all learning at the same time. And now they get the guy who's the most experienced in that lineup and Cedric Mullins back. And you're reminded of the fact that he's pretty damn good. He's pretty damn good. And that's another jolt to them that Baltimore gets. I still have my questions that eventually this pitching staff in the postseason is going to hold together. And they're putting a lot of wear and tear on Yanier Cano and Felix Bautista.
Yes.
They're putting a lot of wear and tear on those
Starting to show
a little bit. I don't think Bautista had the blow up there against Houston with Kyle Tucker, and Cano has not been nearly as effective the second half of the season as he was in the first half. So I still have my doubts of Baltimore holding it together in the postseason, but for now, they may very well go on to win this division. And the other thing I saw last night too, and I had to LOL at this one, it made me feel a little bit better, was the Yankees, who continue to just reach new levels of suckdom, giving up 5 runs in the 9th inning against the Marlins to drop that series and fall further into last place in the AL East. And it's hilarious. I find it very hilarious, to be honest with you. They can't do anything right. That's the only thing that makes me feel better about what's going on with the Rays right now is the Yankees are not going to touch the postseason. And I think they're in for a major, major rebuild in the offseason.
Yeah, who's doing that? Brian Cashman?
They said he's probably going to come back next year. You can believe it.
I hope so. I hope he's in charge forever.
Yeah.
Because he clearly has no clue what he's doing. All right, so we mentioned Derek Carr. Anthony Richardson started this past weekend, had a interception that reminded Florida Gator fans of stuff all too familiar.
Right.
But he's going to start. He's going to have growing pains. I don't know if he's going to be a great quarterback in this league, but they've said he's played well in camp. I haven't seen much of it. I'm just interested to see him play. That to me is going to be worth the price of admission.
Yeah, and this kind of goes in with Anthony Richardson, and I'll throw C.J. Stroud into this equation as well.
Yeah.
These young quarterbacks, and I took note of this. This is so fascinating to me. The quarterbacks that are rookies that had the best weekends in their debuts, Stetson Bennett, Aiden O'Connell, and Sean Clifford. Those 3 guys were all mid-round picks, but you know what they all have in common? They played a lot of football in college.
That's right.
A lot of football in college. And so this is why when we talk about quarterbacks coming into the league, and we love to just fast-track these guys. We love to put them in bad situations behind bad O-lines and bad supporting cast, and really most of the time I don't think they're given a fair shot. I don't think that's fair to those guys. But these guys who have played a lot of college football, they come in and they seem to be more seasoned right away.
You know who else is in that list? Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy, exactly. It's just fascinating to me. And it's just another lesson. Like these guys who are ultra talented, who maybe, played 2 years and got out, it doesn't mean that the light's going to turn on right away in the NFL, where some of these guys who have 30 starts under their belts or 40 starts in Desmond Ritter's in his side, obviously, those guys might have more immediate success in the NFL.
Well, historically speaking, those are the guys that are successful in the NFL. You can go through games started in college and games won in the NFL. It's a very similar track. Guys like Trey Lance. Look at Trey Lance.
Trey Lance still doesn't get it. He does not. He doesn't understand how to play.
He doesn't process the information fast enough. And you look at the reps that he's had in game time situations. This, by the way, Todd Bowles, game time situations matter, right? And Trey Lance has had so few reps. His last year in college, he played one game. He's played hardly any in the NFL. He just doesn't have any reps. He hasn't thrown that many passes. He played 7-on-7 football in high school.
He hasn't played a full full season of football since 2019. We are almost to 2024. Okay, and Sam Darnold, who everybody has out, we've already written the book on Sam Darnold and closed it and everything. Looked like he was better than Trey Lance yesterday when I was watching.
Yeah, because he's had more experience.
Doesn't understand it. It's the end of the story. So yes, I think in general, like I don't understand. Like you said, Anthony Richardson's going to start. Listen, Gardner Minshew's probably a better quarterback right now than Anthony Richardson.
There's no question about that. Like, there's no question about that.
Unless you are viewed as one of those can't miss prospects, and I don't think anybody in this draft necessarily was. Like I said, they all had flaws. They don't all have to play right away. It's very likely that Davis Mills is a better quarterback right now than C.J. Stroud. Andy Dalton played pretty serviceable to decent football last year for the Saints and is a veteran in this league and has seen everything, and he's not past it. He probably could be better than Bryce Young right now. I don't have to put these guys in at the moment.
I wouldn't. I just don't. There are certain situations that just beg play the guy. And those are the ones with guys, for me, who have had 30, 40, 50 starts in college. Those guys, to me, I'm going to trust.
Or if you're viewed as a prospect who didn't have many, like Trevor Lawrence, for example. Like, he played, 3 years of college football?
Yeah.
He had 3 years of college football, and he was seen as, the best prospect since, going back to Andrew Luck, right?
Right.
Yes, absolutely. Get that guy in there right away.
100%.
But I mean, for all these other Anthony Richardson 13 starts, he doesn't have to play right away. I think sometimes you end up doing damage to a quarterback when you do that.
Yeah. I mean, just because they play doesn't mean they're going to be great, but they're going to be much more ready to play in the NFL.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes got to sit behind Alex Smith for a full year. You think that didn't help him?
Of course it did. And it's just that is just part of the deal for guys getting acclimated in the NFL. Yes. And I just like the Anthony Richardsons of the world, the Trey Lances of the world are just the deck is stacked against them already. So why throw them out there and ruin their confidence? Because that's a thing too. Confidence is fragile. You go out and have a 4-pick game, and suddenly the game that was supposed to slow down for you is just ultra fast, and you have ruined your confidence. It's a bad idea. It's like a can't miss prospect in baseball coming up too quickly. Yeah. He gets to the major leagues and he's seeing real curveballs for the first time. I mean, badass, and going up against the best of the best. It just ruins your confidence, and you can't. It's a dangerous game to play for a quarterback as well. But we'll and good organizations don't do that, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah. All right, we didn't talk about this because I saw the clip. James Harden is doing a tour in China. Going out and doing speeches and whatnot. And he got up on a stage today and called Daryl Morey, who's traded for him twice. And these two are about as close to a player-GM relationship as you could have. Called him a liar and repeated it. So I guess
he won't play for an organization that he's part of.
Right. So it's a him or me thing. In the NBA more than any other league, the players run the league. And I
got no time for James Harden. No. I'm sorry. The guy, he's never happy.
No, he's never happy. And I got news for you. It's past your prime, bro.
Exactly. How many more trade requests is James Harden going to continue to make throughout his career? I feel like there's a trade request every single year from James Harden. Yeah. At some point, it's just you, buddy.
Yeah.
It's just you. I'm not saying Daryl Morey is the best GM in the world. He had issues with Chris Paul and everything too. So part of it is Daryl Morey. I understand. But James Harden just seems to everywhere he goes, he's got issues. I got no time. I'm so past the James Hardens, the Russell. I'm past that era of player. I'm done.
No, and just the NBA in general it's just not a good look for the league. This constant movement of your superstar players, demanding out here, getting this there. It's just not. I enjoyed it when the coaches coached, the players played, and the GM GM'd. I think it's a better model because the player doesn't always consider the macro of the team. It's always just about him and what's good for him. And that's not necessarily what's best for the organization. You have a CBA, you have no trade clauses. You can, to some way control these things, but just to say, I'm not going to play for my $37 million contract.
And when you're 33 years old and not as good as you used to be.
Think about that. I refuse to play for my $37 million contract. And
the guy's already made like 500 something million in career earnings at least. He's got to be pushing there.
Yeah.
Really?
He's made a lot of money. Yeah.
Sorry, I can't boo-hoo with you. I just can't.
And it's basketball. You're being asked to play basketball for a living.
Yeah, and I'm not, and I don't mean shut up and dribble. I'm not talking about that. I just mean in general, you've never won anything and you have problems everywhere you go. It's a you issue, James. It's a you issue.
All right, we'll wrap this one up for today. A big thanks to Sal Palantonio for joining us. Chris Lugo from Bay Area Medical Center will join us tomorrow. Patient ran over. He spent an hour with me yesterday going over my blood work and making a plan for the future. It's pretty cool stuff. So we'll talk to him next week. Thanks to all our commenters. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube page, Apple, and Spotify. By the way, we're going to be moving to DSP Media YouTube. So stand by for that, folks. We'll be moving. So you watch us on YouTube every day. We're just going to direct you over to DSP Media YouTube page. We're going to go in collectively with them. So be prepared for that. That's coming up. Have a great day, everybody.